Hello and welcome to Faithfully Stampin' with Jennifer Helm. I am Jennifer Helm, the Faithful Stamper, independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a basic corner fold card. This is a very elegant looking card that requires only a few simple cuts and a fold to give you this beautiful look that's not a lot of difficulty to put together. You can see the inside of the card when it's flipped open. It's a very simple fun fold. So come along with me and I'll teach you how to make it. The first thing you're going to need is a piece of cardstock that is 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. So half a sheet of 8.5 by 11 inch paper. I'm going to bring over my paper trimmer, scorer. This is the best tool to make this particular card. This will greatly ease your cutting if you have this tool. So the first thing you want to do is score at 4 1/4 on that 8.5 inch side. Then slide the paper over so that the edge is lined up with the 3 inch mark. And this is where this paper trimmer will save you, because you can do some unique cuts with it that otherwise you'd have to use an X-Acto knife to do. So I want to make a partial cut. I don't want to cut the whole panel. I want to cut a partial cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the measurements here on the sidebar, and I'm going to cut from 2.5 inches down to 4 7/8. And there are little score lines on the sides of my blade so that I can see where I am cutting. So 2.5 down to 4 7/8. And then I'm going to lift it up so you can see I've got my partial cut here. I'm going to turn my paper clockwise and again line it up to 3 inches. I'm going to move my score blade up to about 3 before I lay it all the way down. And if I've done my measuring right, the 3 inch mark will line up here with your cut line. And then I'm going to just slide the blade up from 3 inches to 5/8. So just 1/8 above that ½ inch mark. That is the trickiest thing you will do with this card, I promise. So now I can put my trimmer away. I like to go ahead and fold my card base on that score line. And then I just need to pop out my little triangle here. Excuse me. To make the fold, all you need to do is push down on that little triangle and flip your piece of paper. Then take a bone folder and press your crease, and there you have the front of your card. Pardon me. So now we just need to build the card. I'm going to do all my stamping at one time. To save a little time here. I'm going to bring out my Stampin' Pierce mat, because the stamp set that I'm going to use, which is the beautiful Art Gallery set from Stampin' Up. This is a photopolymer set, so I need just a little extra cushion underneath my stamps. To start, I'm going to take a 2.5 inch square of white cardstock, and I'm going to stamp one of the floral images. It's a larger floral image that perfectly fits in this 2.5 inch square. You can go smaller if you like, but I want it to fill the space. I'm stamping in crushed curry ink. And I love with photopolymer stamps that I can see through the clear box and the stamp and see if I have enough ink coverage. And if I don't, I can just add a little more. So this stamp I'm going to put diagonally on. Just press down. I like to make sure I give it even pressure. And I'm just going to help that off a little bit. And there I have that beautiful image. Now, this stamp has a little accent to it, a little bloom, I call it. And so I'm just going to stamp again in the crushed curry ink and add that little accent to the 3 blooms. It works with all 3 of them, and it just gives it a depth of color. I could use an offsetting color if I wanted. So there is one panel. I'll set that to the side. Next, I'm going to stamp the inside piece of my card. This is 5 inches tall by 3 3/4 inches wide. I decided to use Blackberry Bliss for my coordinating color. So for my inside sentiment, I'm going to use It's Your Day, Enjoy It from the Happiest of Birthdays set. And when you're stamping, you don't want to get too close to the top or too close to the sides because the top and right side are going to show a little bit. So just keep that in mind as you're doing your stamping. Now, I have a piece of scrap paper I'm going to bring over because I'm going to repeat the floral image that I used before, but I'm just going to stamp off the page at the bottom just to give it a little accent. You can stamp the top if you want, however, keep in mind that it will show at the top corner. I'll show you in my samples when I stamp that by accident. And finally, before I put that floral image away, I'm going to stamp my envelope so it matches. I always like to decorate my envelopes, either with a strip of Designer Series paper or a matching stamp. So there's that. And one last piece of stamping. I have a strip of Whisper White that is 3/4 inch tall by about 3.5 inches long. And I am going to use that for my sentiment strip on the front of my card. I'm going to stamp again in Blackberry ink, and this is a happy birthday from that art gallery stamp set. And I'm going to stamp towards the left of this banner. I'm actually going to turn it into a banner. So, I'll show you a little trick to do that. The first thing I'm going to do, we have a triple banner punch that I could use, but I wanted to show you another way to make a banner. This is our tailored tag punch. It's a great shape and there's lots of uses for that, but did you know you can make a banner with this too? I like to flip it over and take my strip of cardstock and feed it into the end. I like to pull this end up just to get that out of the way. Now I slide it in so that I can see the end of my sentiment. And of course I don't want to stamp it there, but this way I can pull it down and make sure I've got enough clearance. And then I center it top to bottom, or at least best I can. And then trim. And so there is my banner flag. So now to jazz it up a little bit, this strip was 3/4 inch wide. I have Blackberry Bliss that is 5/8 inch wide, so just a smidge larger. And I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal and line that up. But I would not be so lucky as to try again with my tag punch to line that up and get it even. I just know I couldn't. So now I'm going to take a pair of scissors and just trim in to the center and hopefully give this a nice little banner end as well. That's not too bad. Usually I have to go back again with my scissors and trim. Some ladies can do this no problem with scissors all the time, and I am not so lucky. So now let's do some building with the card. I'm going to bring over my card base one more time. I have a square of Blackberry Bliss that is 2 3/4 inches square. I'm going to layer my stamped floral image right on top using my Stampin' Seal Plus, or I'm sorry, my Stampin' Seal. The Plus I save for my 3D projects, although I do use it on cards because I love it a lot. It's my favorite adhesive. So I'm going to layer this here. And now I'm going to break out my dimensionals. So I'm going to turn over that panel as well as my little sentiment strip. And I'm just going to put some foam dimensionals here on the back of these two panels. These are great to give your card a little height. So I just need to peel the back off of my little foam dots. Oop. And this square gets layered right on top of the square here. And then I'm going to take my banner, and you could use a banner with two clipped edges or a straight piece all the way across. You can definitely experiment with your card, but I'm going to favor the left side near the fold and attach my banner. One thing you want to do, I'm going to flip this back over for 1 minute, take a glue dot. These are left over from my paper pumpkin kit. If you don't know what paper pumpkin is, be sure to check it out at my website. It is our subscription box that comes monthly. It's creativity in a box that comes right to your door with everything you need to make beautiful cards or other projects. So a little glue dot there, and that way your card flap stays down. And now all I need to do is build the inside. So, whoop, little glue dot back hiding. I have a piece of Blackberry Bliss that is 5 1/4 by 4. It's what I call a standard insert for a card. And my adhesive is not behaving itself today. Whoop. Layer this in the card. And then the inside sentiment piece, which you saw me stamp, will be added as well. And now, once this is layered inside, and I close my card, you can see why I told you watch where you stamp your sentiment so it doesn't show here. But you have a beautiful corner fold card that really was not a lot of work. And I was thinking earlier that this would be cute for a little peekaboo card depending on the stamp set you used. We have some great new stamp sets with sharks and kangaroos and flamingos that would make a perfect peekaboo card here. I might just have to try that. Now, when I stamped the inside of my card, I told you I only stamped the bottom. If you want, you can stamp the top as well. For example, here, I tend to go towards the top and the bottom, so when I first put this card together, I immediately did that. And then I realized when I closed it, I could see that here. So you can see you can do either version with the card, and they both look perfectly lovely. It just depends if you want the cleaner lines here to echo the layers, or if you like the little accent. And I do have a few other samples to show you that this card can be great for any occasion. At the moment, I'm trying to make a Christmas card a week, just to get a little ahead for the holidays. And so I wanted to show you that you can use this with any kind of stamp set and greeting. I feel like this card still needs a little something, so I'm probably going to add a strip of designer series paper or something here at the bottom just to jazz that up a little bit. But the concept is the same. But you can experiment with your colors of cardstock. We have a beautiful stamp set called Walk in the Woods, and I'm a sucker for little hedgehogs. I've been dying to use this stamp set. So you don't have to stick with plain cardstock. You can stamp on the cardstock. You could do an all-over design, or you can just do what I did and stamp along the bottom here, little mushroom pattern. And then I just added my little hedgehog, and this is a birthday card that'll make somebody very happy. And of course, I stamped my envelope with Mr. Hedgehog. But again, as I just said, you don't have to be stuck with cardstock and stamps. You can experiment. I made this last sample with designer series paper. It just takes a little more thinking when you're doing your designer series paper and you are assembling the card. The one extra piece I needed was a piece of designer series paper that was 5 1/4 by 4, and then I figured out where I needed to cut it, and I used my paper cutter to cut the diagonal. Where I went wrong, if you're going to do this, don't do what I did. Put your glue along the large edges, and just here at your corners, don't do it on that diagonal. Because if you glue the paper, once you make the flip, you're going to have glue here inside your card, which you don't want. But if you do that, make that mistake like I did, just cover it with a square of paper. And so I have this very striking card, little pop of color. And to coordinate with this card, I took the cardstock or the designer series paper from the inside and I matched on the envelope flap. So there you have a quick and easy corner fold card. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you liked the video. I would be happy to have you as a subscriber. And feel free to pop over to Facebook and follow me. I'm The Faithful Stamper. Thanks so much and happy crafting.